What is up, everybody? NoLucksGiven here with some new exciting PvP content. Now, I'm not normally super excited about Silph tournaments. I think that the formats change a little bit too quickly, and a lot of times you don't have that many opportunities to play. But that has all changed right now. While we're doing our social distancing and self-quarantining, Niantic has opened up the ability to battle remotely with good friends, and that has made remote tournaments so much more accessible. So because of that, I've gotten really excited for the aptly named Toxic Cup, which is currently ongoing. Some big remote battles with popular websites like Go Stadium and Go Colosseum, but you could also probably get into some local battles as well with your typical PvP crew. Again, that's something that sometimes I will shy away from because I'm not sure if I want to make those investments, not sure how much time I want to put into thinking about these teams and things, but because it's going to get a lot more use because of the coronavirus, I figured let's make some toxic teams. So here is my Toxic Cup team, and it's not perfect, but it's mine, and I've registered this team so far for a few different tournaments now, both local and remote, though even the local tournament we will be doing remote as well because we can. So this is the squad that I am rolling with, and you know, I didn't really have that much practice going into the Toxic Cup, so I actually wanted to try out this team in Go Battle League as well, and I had some pretty good results, to be honest. I'll show off my round one of my Go Colosseum tournament at the end of this video, but first I want to show how I used this team in the Go Battle League as well. So I tried some different things to see what would work in the Go Battle League, but eventually I landed on Toxicroak as an opener to try to catch those Steel-type Pokemon with the ability to switch into Wigglytuff and then Wormadam in the back. So basically, the idea is with this team, Wigglytuff is going to be good against like Altaria and a few other threats, and Wormadam's just a good Pokemon. Wormadam is also probably the poster Pokemon for the Toxic Cup in general, so it felt wrong not including it on my team. Definitely have to play Wormadam. I did think of some other Pokemon as well, mostly Skuntank. I decided against that one though, and yeah, just wound up rolling with these three in the Go Battle League here. So let's take a look at just how these games went. We are up against Airy Boys 95 for our first matchup, and I get the right lead correctly, so that's why I'm playing Toxicroak, so that I can catch those Steel-type Pokemon. He's going to throw, I imagine, a Rock Slide here, and I'm going to take that because it's not very effective. He switches to Altaria, so I switch to my Wigglytuff. That's what it's there for. And this is a pretty basic team composition from my opponent that I'm hoping to capitalize on. I basically farm it down. It is able to get a Sky Attack off right before it dies, but otherwise, you know, just dies to my charms. Then when he switches into Mantine, I go ahead and fire off an Ice Beam, which is just going to be normally effective, but since my opponent has 2 shields, I just wanted to go for the cheaper move. Probably should have just gone for the Play Rough there because they didn't shield and then I didn't get to another Ice Beam. Go into Wormadam after that, and Wormadam shouldn't be too afraid of these Ice Beams, and then when they switch back into Melmetal, I switch into Toxicroak, and I will expend a shield here just to make sure my Toxicroak survives, and then I fire off one last Mud Bomb. Oh, that's right, yeah, they are going to block that, and then I will farm it down. And that gives me just a little bit of energy here on the Toxicroak before that goes bye-bye. And that's enough to take out Mantine. Didn't even have to get back to my Wormadam. So yeah, that was a pretty good result from our first matchup here. Like I said, that's basically why we built the team the way that we did. Try to catch the lead Pokemon. If it's a Steel type, then we have Wigglytuff for Altaria, and Wormadam as a catch-all. So that is a perfect example of exactly how this team wants to go. For match 2 here, we're up against Jay Trimper, and once again, we win the leadoff here with Toxicroak against Umbreon, so they're going to go ahead and switch to Jirachi, which is kind of an interesting one. I'm not sure exactly what to do, but I know Wigglytuff is not going to be good against a Steel-type Pokemon, so I go to the Wormadam. I potentially could have just kept in Toxicroak as well and used those Mud Bombs to pressure Jirachi, but then I would have to be, Wormadam against Umbreon, which, is also a fine matchup. But just wanted to play it safe here and have some resistances against these, because Doom Desire from Jirachi is so powerful. You can see it takes me out there. I go for Wigglytuff and immediately switch into Toxicroak just so that it dies, and that basically gives me a free shield. Then I can farm down the rest of Jirachi, and I've got one Pokemon to their 2, but I have a shield, and I know I don't have to care about Umbreon either. I do decide to shield the Foul Play, but then I'm just going to farm it down with Charm, and I'm going to hope that their next Pokemon dies to a Play Rough, and it's Toxicroak. So Toxicroak is definitely just going to die really quickly here. It was a pretty close matchup, all things considered, but we are able to get there in the end. So 2 matchups so far where we won the lead. We're up against Yoon2 Fafa now, and we lose the lead matchup. Altaria is definitely going to pressure Toxicroak, so we get out of there, and I decide to switch to Wormadam. And I do this so that way I don't have to worry about them counter-switching and then me losing my Wigglytuff. So I'm just going to spend some shields here and see what magic Wormadam can work here. So we do an Iron Head, and they switch right into Bastiodon, which is super unfortunate, but they waited so long to switch that our switch is up again. So now we switch into Toxicroak, and I do block that Stone Edge. But then I just farm down the Bastiodon. They are up a shield, and then they take Toxicroak down, which lets me go into Wigglytuff and farm them down here. And then we've got now 2 Pokemon to their 1. I don't have to worry about these Mud Bombs. This Ice Beam is definitely going to get shielded, but I will be able to charm them down pretty significantly. And I don't quite remember. I think, with that Mud Bomb, I'm definitely going to have to go into my next Pokemon here. Oh no, that's right, we tie. And because I have another Pokemon in the back still, that tie right there was actually a win for me. I forgot how that one ended. So yeah, we wind up both dying at the same time, and then I have another Pokemon and they don't, so I've won the matchup there. Yeah, that was a pretty fun conclusion. I'm not sure if my opponent was trying to farm down my Wigglytuff at the end there so that they could immediately use a charge move on my Toxicroak. But either way, that worked out for us there. So that was a pretty close and a pretty fun matchup where we lost that initial lead, but we're still able to turn it around. For our 4th match here, we're up against Avocados B, and we lose the lead matchup again. Toxicroak into Clefable, and I think I make a pretty bad error here. Instead of just switching out, I try to throw a Sludge Bomb, which uses all my energy, and then I switch off of that into the Wormadam, which is safe, but it's not really in a great position against Registeel. So now I'm in a tough spot because my Toxicroak has no energy and pretty little HP, and I'm going to need to find a way to deal with this Registeel somehow, and that's not going to be the Wormadam. So I'm going to let the Wormadam go down here, and even though I'm part Steel type, this is really unfortunate here. The Registeel is going to be able to farm me down here, which is super unlucky. I switch into Toxicroak, and they switch right away, so I match that switch and go into Wigglytuff, but I do have to shield because I'm afraid of Meteor Mashes. Luckily, they don't have Meteor Mashes, and we're 2 shields to 2 shields. I will definitely have to shield this Flash Cannon, or my Wigglytuff would die, but then I'm actually able to charm the Registeel down. It's low enough health and low enough energy that I'm okay, and then Haunter on the back line is going to be easy peasy. My Toxicroak might have a little bit of trouble with it, but Wigglytuff just does not care about Haunter, doesn't even care about that Shadow Ball, and I'm able to build up enough energy that I can even Ice Beam the Haunter to clean it, to kill it cleanly. So Wigglytuff is actually like secretly pretty good in a way that you wouldn't normally consider, because it is that normal type, which is going to give it some key ghost type resistances when you do happen to face against those. My last match in the Go Battle League is up against Dave Franco, and this was a pretty silly one because not only does my opponent have Wigglytuff, but when I go ahead and switch into Wormadam, they switch into Toxicroak. What, are we playing Toxic Cup here? And this, I just was really not expecting to see this. I also don't know why they switched. They switched into a bad matchup where I can just farm them down with Confusion, so maybe they need a little bit more Toxic Cup practice to not make that mistake. But pretty funny that they are using 2 Toxic Cup Pokemon. And 2 of the same Pokemon that we're using too. So I was really expecting their last Pokemon to also be a Toxic Cup Pokemon, but no, it's a Hypno. And we've got 2 Pokemon and a Shield. This Hypno is probably not going to be too difficult to take down. And yeah, we're able to take it down with our Wigglytuff. It might have only had Shadow Ball, I'm not sure, but yeah, some pretty fun matchups there. It was fun to almost actually get to play a Toxic Cup game in the Go Battle League. Like I said, other than just playing Toxic Cup teams in the Go Battle League, the other reason that I powered up this team was because of all of the easily accessible remote tournaments that we have while we are social distancing here. And I wanted to showcase the round 1 from my Go Colosseum tournament, and that is up against Michael R. 1812. So looking at our 2 teams here, I decide I want to play it pretty safe and start off with Wormadam as my lead. I'm also going to play Bibarel because that guy is the other Toxic Cup All-Star. And I'm going to throw Skuntank in there. I like how it lines up against Michael's team, and it's kind of a spicy pick, so we'll see how that one goes. So here we are, and we win the lead matchup. As we just saw, you don't want to be a Toxicroak against a Wormadam. They switch to Steelix, I switch to Bibarel to match, and we should be able to pretty easily take down the Steelix, but that was quite the earthquake there. My Surfs are going to be pretty effective, and we are going to farm the Steelix down. The Wormadam will come in and eat my Bibarel, which allows me to go into my Skuntank here and clear their Wormadam. So pretty straightforward here. When they switch, I match their switch, and we're able to take down their Toxicroak. So it's going to be a pretty simple game 1 here. I'll shield the Mud Bomb so that my Wormadam doesn't die, farm their Wormadam down, and then we will trade some Bug Buzzes with each other. Oh, I go ahead and fire off an Iron Head here, actually. I have a pretty significant amount of energy. Yeah, and it winds up being correct here as I get my second Iron Head and then probably die, before I get off my last one. So I'm just going to let my Wormadam die, go back into my Skuntank, and crunch it up. They do have 1 shield, so they'll be able to shield that one. I will shield their Bug Buzz here, and then give them 1 more crunch to finish them off. And that's game 1. Pretty nicely done. So I did already have my second team prepared as well, and I'm going to go with Toxicroak as the lead into Wormadam and Glysaur. So we lose the lead this time, and I just let my Toxicroak die. I fire off a Mud Bomb, and then I do actually switch out. And when I switch, I'm met with a Steelix. So I probably should have just let my Toxicroak die there and just taken taken the fact that my Toxicroak was dead. But this Steelix is going to be pretty hard to deal with without that Toxicroak. So I go ahead, throw off some Iron Heads, not very effective, but Wormadim is just a super strong Pokemon. So as long as I can shield these Earthquakes, oh, that's right, we do a Bug Buzz here. But as long as I can shield these Earthquakes, I'm actually dealing a lot of damage to the Steelix. I switch into Toxicroak and it just dies immediately. It didn't have any health left. And then I go into the Glysaur. So I'm a little bit all over the place this game. And Glysaur is at least going to be good against the two Pokemon that we've seen so far. But I don't have any shields. So here we're going to clear the Wormadim, and then we're going to be put at a point where the Steelix could come back in, but they don't put the Steelix back in. They put the Toxicroak back in, but the Toxicroak will have a Mud Bomb, so it will be able to take out the Wormadim just the same. And they still had a shield there too, so yeah, I was pretty far behind in that matchup. There was a lot that my opponent could do to kill me, and yeah, they did. Game 3, we get a mirror matchup, Bibarel v. Bibarel, and yeah, we're both just gonna splash some water on each other. I'm gonna go for the Hyper Fangs while Michael goes for the Surfs. And honestly, the Surf does a considerable amount of damage as well. They shield, so now they are up a significant amount of energy. I'm going to go ahead and shield this one so I don't lose all of my energy. And I'm going to go for another Hyper Fang. So this is at least going to get some damage onto the Toxicroak, but they block it. So that means I'm just going into Wormadim. I will shield this Mud Bomb here to just protect my Worm, and then I can farm down the Toxicroak. So I'm in a pretty comfortable position here. We're both at 2 Pokemon, except their Bibarel is almost dead, and I have such an energy lead here that I can just Bug Buzz it as soon as it comes into play. So now I've got a Glysaur and a Wormadim to their Wormadim, and nobody's got any shields. There's nothing really tricky that can happen from here. This is basically all she wrote. We'll trade some charge moves on Wormadim for a moment here after that tiny little lag spike. And again, yeah, the energy lead means that Glysaur isn't even going to have to do that much work when I throw it in. So Wormadim will eat the last Iron Head, and then my Glysaur comes in and just makes quick work of my opponent's Wormadim. So that's round 1 for me, a pretty good start, and I'm still kind of learning the ropes here. Like I said, I don't really do that many Silph Cup tournaments, and if you're in the same boat, now might be a good time to start. We're all in the same boat here right now, and that's why I think it's a great opportunity to look at some of these remote tournaments. There's a lot of big organizations that are running these events right now. So if this cup doesn't interest you, maybe next cup will. And, you know, we're going to be here for a little while, so we're probably going to see some of those same remote tournaments going on. Hopefully we'll all be able to finish them before Niantic makes any changes to remote battling. But I think we're probably pretty safe on that front. And on that note, stay safe, everybody. Leave a comment below to let me know what kind of stuff you want to see in the future. As you can see, I got no problem playing some silly teams in the Go Battle League, and subscribe if you want to see more content like that. That's going to be it for me, guys. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.